Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to make a character using my smart sheet. So today I've made up just a random name, age, male, it's just a tutorial, not important. So I filled out all the things that don't necessarily, I'm going to say matter. So you can have whatever name, age, gender. If you want to go into sexual orientation, you can, just for a little bit of flavor. If you want them to have a job, or anything else important that really defines who your character is. Their height doesn't matter, their weight doesn't matter. That's just how you play and how you describe your character. Eyes, hair, fur. We'll get into this, and we'll get into this later. So there are a couple different languages you can choose from. I recommend everyone choose common unless you're crazy and you don't want anyone to understand you. We'll get back to this in a second. So Evangelino, let's make him, these are all the races you can choose from. Let's make him a vampire. No, let's make him a werewolf. I don't have any werewolves yet. Okay, so as you see, this kind of filled in a couple things here. This is your armor class. Armor class means someone, when you're in battle, this means when you're in battle and someone wants to try to hit you, they have to get above a 16 in order to deal damage. We'll talk about damage in a second. And you notice that you don't have any hit points yet or health points. I'll explain that too. What I want to do right now is go through and show you exactly what inputting some of this information up here did. Okay, so we'll scroll down here. These are extra abilities you get from choosing a race. They're different for each one. So wolves, for instance, can transform. They have a wolf mind, they have a strength, and they have strong senses. So transform, you change between forms. Wolf mind connects nearby thoughts of their wolf. They cannot tune it out. Strength, they can leap far, they can lift 10 tons, they can destroy cities. I have to fix that spelling with brute force. And you're able to see, smell, and hear things in a 10-mile radius, feeling the smallest of details. And then these get filled when you are different things. So let's describe, let's leave this blank. This is really for you guys to say, my character is awesome. Here is what makes them unique. They were born in a town. The town shaped their personality, etc., etc. Okay, so just some background information. If you want to go in more detail about their appearance, you can. They have long, what I have, purple hair, bright, vivid pink eyes. I think vivid pink eyes. Whatever you want to add. Has a scar on chest. Whatever you guys want to add. So blah, 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 blah. And so here down here is character information, which I hope is pretty self-explanatory. You're a werewolf. This is kind of a brief description of exactly what this creature is. Here are some little plot points, not plot points. Here's some inspiration for you when you're playing your character. So when you're playing them, you can keep in mind to flesh out your character that they are the enemies of vampires and they live in tribes in the edges of forest. They live a simple life. So if you want to add any of this to your description, just make them have a little flair, you totally can. Down here, we'll get to what these are. These are if you have like sub races. I can show you that different later. And this down here, we will get into right now. So the one thing I didn't go over in this top section here, besides languages, is alignment. So let's go through these. Lawful good. You follow the law and you want the best for everyone. Lawful good. You follow the law, but you basically don't care what happens. Like you're all for yourself. Lawful evil. You follow the law to achieve your goals, and usually they're not very good goals. Neutral good, you'll do what you need to keep the peace and to keep everything going, right? True neutral, you really don't give a crap what happens. You'll do whatever you want. Neutral evil, doesn't matter if you're causing mayhem or if you're causing, if you're obeying the law, you're out for yourself and you're off to do your evil deeds. Chaotic, you want to cause mischief, but for the better good. Chaotic neutral, you just like to cause chaos. Chaotic evil is, Godzilla, just stomping around doing whatever the hell they want and just being plain old evil. So I'm going to hit delete and get rid of that. If you're doing this on mobile, you don't actually get a choice to leave it blank after choosing something. That's something I noticed. So you can just continue to change between these. That's why I recommend you do it on a computer so that you can just, do whatever you need to. So when I chose werewolf, these numbers appeared on the side of these boxes. And I'll go through exactly what the boxes do. This is where it gets a little tricky, so please bear with me. Okay, so all right, so let's roll for stats. Stats are kind of what makes your character do things, let's say. So charisma, CHA, how good of a talker are you? Can you sway a crowd? Can you lie really well? Can you persuade people? Stuff like that. Constitution, what's your physical endurance and what's your emotional endurance? Dexterity, how acrobatic are you? How are you at stealing without being noticed? How good are you at sneaking around? How do you move in general? Intelligence. That's kind of self-explanatory. Do you remember things? Can you investigate areas? How well exactly, do you use that? Which is not to be confused with wisdom. We'll get to that in a second. Strength is pretty self-explanatory. How fast can you run? No, not how fast can you run. That's something else. How much can you lift? Can you climb a mountain? Stuff like that. Wisdom is perception and insight and survival. So using your senses almost to find things out. So I'm going to have a little cheat sheet up here as to different abilities you have. So these here is just a reference. So if you want to roll something, say you want to roll, here's how I deal with animals. I'm interacting with an animal and I want to see if I scare them away or if they listen to me or something in between. That's animal Ken. You would roll wisdom, which we'll get into how you roll wisdom. Dexterity, how well can you make like crafts? That's actually like dexterity. That's like, okay, how do your fingers move? Stuff like that. Intimidation is charisma. Can you scare this person? Basically with your ability, with anything. Investigation is pretty self-explanatory, uses intelligence. Constitution, primal urge. Usually this constitution doesn't have anything, but for primal urge, what I want to explain is a lot of these creatures can shapeshift or are have animalistic urges or just can lose their mind. So it's constitution to see what your breaking point is before you snap. That's what I want primal urge to be. That's why you roll constitution, is because this is how well you can control from how well you can keep from snapping. And everything else. Subterfuge is just a fancy way of saying lies. Lying, streetwise is, just surviving in the city. Technology, the rest of it's kind of simple. So these are kind of references as to the most common things you'll be rolling. So I want to find out more about the occult for this specific mission. Okay, so you're going to roll that. That's also good. That's going to be tied to intelligence. So how do we find out what your scores are? Excellent question. All right, how do we explain this? So you're gonna roll, and I have a couple different options here. You can't roll any of these yet because you don't have stuff filled out. So when you want to get your stats, you always want to roll a number between, you always want to roll a d20, a 1d20. One 20-sided dice. One 20-sided die. So what this does is it will randomly generate a number between 1 and 20. And I'll show you all the background information if you want to. It's a little scary. So it's going to randomly pick a number. Got 17. All right, so I'm actually going to put that number here. And a funny thing is, if you don't hit reset every time, it will automatically generate a number after everything you hit enter on or click. So that's a 17. You will get a 4. And you can put these numbers wherever you want. I'll explain that in a second. Okay, so another d20. Get a 1. Your character, Evangelino, is not doing good today, bro. And these numbers will go over here. I'm just writing them down so I don't forget. Oh boy, poor Evangelino. 8. And we need 6 numbers. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So 5. Oh, 20. That's always a good number to have. And see how I didn't hit anything before I hit, see how I didn't hit reset before I hit 20 and it changed to a 15. We're not going to count that one. And we get a 12. All in all, this is going to be a fun character. Okay, so reset, everything's good. So where do you want to put these things? Well, do you want him to be more charismatic? Do you want him to have a high endurance? Do you want him to be really good at, moving around and stuff? Do you want him to be really smart? Do you want him to be really strong, really wise? So for this, I'm going to say he's not a good talker. And let's see, Constitution, it's really easy for him to break down and transform into his other self, his rural form. Let's see here, I want his intelligence to be 20. Now, yeah, I'll get into these numbers in a second. Dexterity, let's put it at an 8. Strength is 17. Werewolves are usually pretty strong, so that makes sense. And the only thing I didn't use was a 12. Okay, so now we can get rid of these numbers since we already have them written down. Okay, so what do these little numbers mean? So for each big number comes with a modifier. So what you can basically do is forget this number exists. What's really important is what generates here. So when you have a 1, you get a -5, 4 is a -3, 20, you get a +5, 17, you get a +3, anything like that. And with these little numbers over here is your specific race comes with perks or disadvantages, like advantages or disadvantages. So for instance, werewolves, sure, doesn't matter what this is, they're going to have a -1 in this. And I'll explain that in a second. So for instance, let's roll charisma. So charisma is a random number between 1 and 20, adding this and this. So basically, it's going to choose a random number between 1 and 20. It's not going to care about this number. It's going to care about these 2 numbers. So roll charisma. Gave me a 6. So that means is that it was, so -1. Okay, so let me see how I can explain this. The number, so okay, let's try again here. Reset, you always want to reset. Charisma, -1. That means you didn't do very well on whatever you were trying to do. In fact, you failed and you had the opposite effect. Why did you get a -1? Well, the number you got was a number between 1 and 20 minus this plus this. So let's see. I don't actually know what that would be offhand. So you got a pretty low number. You got a -4. You got something small. You got something not good. I think you can, with everything, yeah. So basically you failed that check. You failed that roll. Okay, so let's reset. Let's roll strength now, or intelligence. Let's roll intelligence. He's smart, but usually for his race, he isn't that, they're not usually that good at things, and they get a added bonus of 5. So it will take a random number between 1 and 20, add this and this, and add this and add this with it. Don't care about that up there. So I'm going to roll intelligence. Intelligence, you got a 20. So you got a number between 1 and 20 that added this and this to it. Now, when I say it added a negative, we all know that 20 minus a negative 5 is actually 20 plus 5, or 20 plus a negative 5 is 20 minus 5. We all remember that from school. So you got a number. I think you actually got a 21, and it took 1 away because of that negative 1. So you actually got a 21. Awesome. 20, that's, you still pass. You still done darn well. And let's see, let's say you are rolling, how do I explain this? All right, so I want to go into initiative next. Initiative is, okay. So you're going to roll initiative. What that is, how do I explain this? Initiative is when you go into battle. What order of battle are you going to go? How do you determine who goes first, who goes last, and everywhere in between? That's what initiative is. So initiative is, I believe it's dexterity and any modifiers. So initiative, you get a 17, and it shows up in this box to let you know that that was your score. So 17 took a random number between 1 and 20, added this and this. Don't ask me what that was. Reset. Okay, so you rolled initiative, we're in battle, you go first, let's say. You say, I want to swing my claws at him. So you'd roll strength, which will take a random number between 1 and 20, add this and this to it. So given everything, it should be a pretty damn high number. 1 and 20, you get a 20. Now let's say that, now if you remember what I said earlier, armor class, this here. In order to hit this, in order for someone to hit Evangelino and do damage, they have to get a number higher than 16. If they get something lower than 16, means the attack missed. Basically, you slip, fall, you don't hit them, or the arrow flies past him, something like that. Okay, so you got him, you hit him. Okay, so I'm going to reset that, and then the damage that you have, the damage that you can deal is based on your level. So you get to roll 1 12-sided dice or die. So you're going to pick a number. It's going to, so 1d12 is going to pick a random number between 1 and 12, straight, no extra additives. So that's how much damage you've been dealt. Taking, so that takes away from health. Health is determined by this, your health is determined by your armor class. It is also determined by dexterity. So it takes into consideration, so it's basically 16 minus 1 is 15, plus 4 is 19, and that's how we get 19 over here. So let's say Evangelino was hit, they got a 20, and they did 2 damage. His health points are now 17. So this is, it's kind of going to be, it's going to be math. So this is just temporary. This is what you usually have. You're in battle. Temporarily, for now, you have 17 health. And if you're not good at doing math, there is like a little formula you'll have to do. You'll have to do equal sign 19 minus, you've got 2 damage, 17. Okay. And then let's say let's do another strength check. Did I roll a d20 before and I should have done that? So you got a strength. So you're hitting them again with your strength. 24. Holy crap, you hit. Okay. You hit hard too, probably. 1d12. Roll a number between 1 and 12, randomly generated, and it rolls a 10. So 17 minus, so you have this many hit points left, health points rather, and you take away 10. So you're down to 7. That's how much health you have left. If you, okay, so let's go back. All right, so you've done a couple rolls, your health is down pretty low. Or the health is down pretty low. I'm using a character sheet playing 2 characters here. Let's say here, you're gonna hit him with your strength again. You roll strength, you get a 27. That totally is above your armor class, the armor class, so that hits. I'm gonna reset, and then again, roll a random number between a 1 and 12, 7. So this actually will knock your health down to 0. Okay, and that's about as far as I'm going to get into that. You haven't died yet. If you ever reach 0, we'll go into exactly what that means. However, for basic tutorial, that's not necessary. So I'm going to reset, always reset. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Please don't screw anything up. Let me undo, actually. Okay. So that is reset. Always reset. And I'll explain, and you kind of saw why. So you're out of battle, no initiative, it's all reset. Alrighty, so you get weapons. You're gonna start with 1 weapon, and then as you progress, you'll get 2 additional weapons. What the hell do the weapons do? Weapons are weapons, they deal a different type of damage. So you have a battle axe, right? Now, what does this mean? It means it deals somewhere between the number 1 and the number 8 randomly generated amount of damage. So let's do this. It pops up, choose your weapon that you want to do, or if you just hit them with brute strength or whatever you hit them with, you can choose that too. So let's say you want to hit, you do damage. You get something above this number or whatever number of whatever the armor of the person you're facing. This is yours. This is not what you're aiming for on other creatures. This is yours. Remember, I'm using 1 sheet for 2 different players. So battle axe will actually just take a random number between 1 and 8, pick something, and that's how much damage you'll do. You only do 2 damage. Okay, so reset. So you have a battle axe. That one didn't do too much damage, didn't take away too many health points from the other character. Okay, so we kind of went over health points, we went over hit dice, and we went over weapons. Now, cool things you can do. You get spells. You're welcome. So let's say you just want to kind of like look through these without going into the RPG game book. So let's say you want to use Dark Haze. So Dark Haze basically means that a magical thick darkness fills the area like a fog over a 20-foot radius. It doesn't matter if you have night sight, which is you can see in pure non-magic darkness. Because this is magic darkness and this is non-magic, you can't see through a dark haze. And then I'm actually just going to hit delete on that. So that goes back to, say let's you want to use Dark Haze. Now in the RPG book that I have on the Discord, it will say certain amounts of certain numbers equal a success, some equal a failure, some equal, it worked okay. So you want to use this. We're going to roll a d20. That's 1 d20 in here, 1 20-sided die. And let's see what happens. So you're going to cast this spell. It's going to fill the area with a dark fog. If it works. That 20, it works perfectly. In fact, it may even go beyond 20 feet radius because it says 20 foot here. Holy crap, the spell works. And then you end it whenever you want. Let's say you want to cast, let's say you want to conjure horror. You bring forth a mental image of the target's deepest fear. Let's say you want to try to do that. Oh, you guys are crazy, aren't you? So do you want to bring, so you're going to try to bring up a mental image. For the most part, we'll be using 1d20, one 20-sided dice. There are times I'll have you roll other things like flip of a coin, some other things I haven't decided yet. Very rarely will we use D100, but you never know, I might go crazy. So we're going to roll another D20 to determine whether conjuration of horror works. You get a 3. According to the rule book, this doesn't work. And your game master gets to decide what kind of effect this has since it didn't work. Did it just not work? Did it have the opposite effect? I will say, as the game master, you actually bring forth an image of their greatest pleasure, like their happiest memory. So that didn't work. And that I'll change twice, so reset. Let's talk about leveling up. So after each session, I'm going to say you get so many extra experience points, XP. Say for instance, you guys did awesome stuff and you did a lot in one session. I'm going to give you 600 XP. You just type in that number and you get 2. Okay, so let's say, so that's your 600. So then I will probably put that down here. And then the next session we play, you get 1,000. So that's, but you don't just get 1,000, you get that plus that. So you'll actually get 1,600, which will put you at level 3, which actually changes your hit dice. So the higher your level, the higher damage you do. And it doesn't change this. It does not change the fact that your battle axe only deals that much damage. But if you use brute strength, it helps. So I'm going to get rid of that. You're back to level 1. And I'm going to end the tutorial here. Before I do that, actually, I should probably go into languages. So what would be smart is everyone speaks the common tongue, so you get to know 2 languages, unless you're a different race, and then you get to know 3. I'll go into that. So let's see here. So everyone should know, or it would be in their best interest to know common. Everyone speaks it, unless you don't. And each race has a specific language associated with. And I left all of these optional, so that we can play interesting characters. For instance, you can be a werewolf that doesn't know common. You can speak Elfish, and you can speak your native tongue of, you can speak your racial tongue of Wolfric, which means those are your 2 languages. You don't know anything else. How are you going to understand anyone? Well, maybe you can through intelligence. So we would have you roll an intelligence to see if you understood what they were saying without knowing the language. And you make out a couple words. So, and I get to decide based on the roll what effect happens. So for instance, you could say I rolled a 12, charisma, and let's say you had to pass a threshold of 10 in order for something to work. So let's just roll charisma. Now, what I'm going to say is you're talking to this guy and you're trying to impress him. So that's a charisma roll. You're trying to impress him with your words. So what you'll do is you will roll charisma, which again rolls a random number between 1 and 20, and adding these 2 along with it. These are called modifiers. They modify your score. So you're going to roll charisma, not a d20. You're rolling a specific skill, a stat. So you're going to roll charisma, and I'm going to say you need at least, now I will already have this predetermined before you roll, that you need a 10 in order to impress him. You got a 2, he laughs at you, is what I say. So that's kind of all I'm going to go into. This is just a video. I will be going over this in person, but in case you don't know, unless you're not available to be there during that time, this is how the sheet is going to work. what I'm doing right now is I'm just deleting everything so that I'm going to leave these up though. Just because I'll probably explain it in person as well. So I'm just making sure that my sheet is blank. You don't have to make sure your sheet is blank. In fact, the more filled out it is, the better. So that's that. That is basically how we're using the sheet. I hope this was educational and informative. If you get a chance to watch this and you're still having some questions about exactly what's going on, feel free to leave them in, let's see, in the Discord, in the suggestions category. Yeah, suggestions. Suggestions. You know what? No, I'm going to create a questions channel. So you can put them all in questions. So yeah, so this is how the sheet works. Anything you still don't understand, put in questions. And even if you don't understand after the quote unquote in-person explanation, put in questions. I hope this helped. And I look forward to playing with you guys. Thank you.